Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where an actual statistics professor and his friends give you sports betting tips. I am your host, Professor Sides. For the latest updates and information, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook, and for some extra free picks on TikTok. All those links are in the description. This college basketball episode covers select games scheduled to be played on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022. In case you're new here, check out the webpage on the banner there. It's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com/new for a primer and explanation. Otherwise, the goals for this episode is to share key information about these games, give you some things to think on, explain why certain plays are being made. We never recommend blindly tailing or fading any pick, but rather to hear the justifications and thought processes to make sure you're fully on board with us or against us before investing your hard-earned money. Remember that Sideline has graded plays on every single game, but as always, take what you like and leave the rest. If you have questions about these or other games, the best place to get those answers is on the Discord chat, which can be accessed through Patreon, link in the show description. As always, remember there are no locks in gambling, so what Sideline provides are loves, likes, and leans. It is A, B, and C grades to indicate its confidence level with respect to scaling wagers. We're only covering a subset of games in this episode, so for the full slate of picks, check out the Google Sheet linked in the show description or on the website homepage. Lastly, please understand that good and bad variance will occur, so as much as we'd like to say we'll be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Jake, we're at a weird time today. It's about 5 p.m. Central on Friday recording. We're going to get this out to our Patreons who get the early access to shows. For people who are just bored watching football, and basketball on a Friday night, they can watch this. 90 some odd games on Saturday.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And it's not like, I don't know that I've seen a day like this since really the first game of the season, the first day of the season this year.
Yeah, and this is kind of how Saturdays will go. It's been lighter and more spread out because the tournaments, and now we're back into one of those Saturdays where half the teams in the country play, and really makes things a little bit crazy. I locked in 31 A grade plays already, 29 B grade plays. So yeah, giving you the list to sort through, I kind of felt a little bad for you, being like, hey, here's a bunch of plays, go figure out what we're doing here. It was like an avalanche of picks headed your way.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, there's tons of good games, tons of great numbers out there right now. And I mean, I like your confidence here. We're going with the Baylor Gonzaga shirt, hoping for a replay of that since that game hasn't shown up yet.
It hasn't. So yeah, half the people watching this, the game's either happening or already happened. I have no idea what happened, but yes, as I was fortunate enough to be at that game, so I figured I had to rock the shirt since that's the rematch that's about to happen in a couple hours here. Yeah. Before we get to today's game, some reminders, please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free. And if you turn on notifications, you won't miss any of the college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. And I've already mentioned that Patreon, but check it out if you haven't yet. Lots of great benefits to be found there above and beyond what we do here. Membership starts at just $3 per month. Look, I get the plays of the day. On Thursday, we were a perfect 3-0. No idea about Friday. Not a single game is tipped yet. But Saturday, I'll have a lot of plays for you. I have so many plays that I'm actually going to give out a few more of them. I'm going to slide them in like little Easter eggs in the show. So don't hit fast forward because I'm just going to sneak some extra plays in. There's so many good plays, but you get even more of them over there on the Patreon. Check that out, www.patreon.com/pickswiththeprofessor. But even if you aren't, we're still thrilled to have you here. We'll get to it all lines courtesy of BetOnline. Send up link in the show description. And current as the time of this recording, again on late Friday afternoon. Jake already covered it. 31 A grade plays that were already locked in. There were so many good ones. It's tough. I feel like there are easily 7 or 8 that really could have fallen into this A+ category. We talked about a few of them beforehand, but one that you and I both liked here, Notre Dame is only laying 4 points at home against Syracuse. Sideline says it should be almost 8, and it's that perfect storm we talked about, low number. Notre Dame could easily win this by double digits. If not, late game fouls should keep us over this number. It's an early tip, 11 a.m. Central. I just haven't been impressed with Syracuse. I think Notre Dame squad's pretty solid at home. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. Is it that simple? Just Notre Dame's a better team. Let's back them laying the low number.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Syracuse is rough this year. I know that was what the first losing season Boeheim had last year and ever. And I think we're about to make that 2 in a row because this Notre Dame team is very good, especially offensively, really, really good offensively, full of shooters, which is a terrible mixture for a zone. But, I mean, they're a little thin just because of injuries and things, but they run a really tight 6-man rotation, and they are very good. They play outrageous defense for as thin as they are and as not unathletic is not the right word, but they're not like an overly athletic team. They play really, really good defense.
It's like one of those situations where it's kind of like one of those backhanded compliments, where you're trying to figure out how to kind of be like, they're not really the most athletic, but they play good defense. It feels a little bit like a backhanded compliment there.
Trying to wade through those waters is tough. But
Yeah.
I mean, they are a very good team, extremely well coached. Mike Bray is one of the more underrated coaches out there. I think he's got the Syracuse zone figured out, and because Boeheim hasn't changed that in forever. And this is one of the weaker Syracuse teams he's had in a while. Outside of Edwards, there's nobody's really doing anything well. I mean, Girard's gone I think he went scoreless against Illinois and didn't have a great game before that. They lost 3 in a row right now, and like one of those being Bryant, and that was at home. Illinois just dismantled them in the second half. I just don't think the Syracuse team has got much, and Notre Dame's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, a Bryant team that I think we both like, but also still below most of what we're going to see in the ACC this year.
Yeah.
We're going to lay the 4th there with Notre Dame. We'll get you another A play here that Jake really liked. I like this one too. Charleston laying 9.5 at the Citadel. Another early start. Southern says this should be about 10.5. And this Charleston team's been a lot of fun to back. They've really a program on the rise, moving in the right direction, looking really good. They should be able to take care of this one on the road. Jake, what is your opinion on this one?
Yeah, I think this Charleston team is for real. I mean, I know they lost to North Carolina and the final score looked bad, but that game was a lot closer than what the final score said. And I think they covered. I can't remember if they covered that game or not, but it was a lot closer than what that final score said. They won against Richmond in overtime. They beat Virginia Tech. They've got a very, very good offense, and they play at a fast pace, which is fun. And they force you to have to score against this is going to sound like another backhanded compliment, but a very average defense. They force you to score against that because of how they score and how they just are running up and down. And that's not what Citadel wants to do. Citadel is bad. Their offense is really bad, and their defense is somehow worse. I don't think the Citadel really has a chance to stay in this game. Charleston is putting up almost 80 points a game, and they've got 2 guys in double figures. They're just very balanced. They're not the best 3-point shooting team, but they don't need it with the way they play and the way they force turnovers and speed people up. And then they hit 77% of their free throws. So there's not really a big fear of that being up 12 and a couple fouls and missing free throws. And then the Citadel's back in this game. They should be once they get up by 10, they shouldn't really ever get under it.
All right, so we're going to lay the 9.5 there with Charleston, and I'm gonna sneak in another A play, another one. Portland State laying 2 against Air Force. I like that one. I don't understand why this number is so low. I think Portland State at home is the better team already. I think they win this one handily. So I'm going to put that one on my record sheet there. So it's an extra A play. They're a little Easter egg for you, which will take us to the best B side. Again, locked a lot of these in. Jake, the first one that caught your eye, 4 p.m. Central. Ohio getting 8.5 points at Marshall. Sideline says this should be more like 7.5. So a situation where we often talk about the flip side of this number, and that it doesn't mean that getting 7-8 points is always good and laying 5 points is always good. We just say that's if we already like that side, those numbers help us out because at 8.5, when you get closer to that 10, hopefully we can avoid some late game fouls and stay under that number. So just a little bit of an extra bonus there, being on the right side of where a lot of teams would stop fouling. Basically just needing Ohio to hang in there, down 3, foul a couple times, lose by 7. We cover the 8.5. An Ohio team that could go on the road and win this game. I'm not saying that's the most likely outcome, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing here. Jake, what's your opinion here?
Yeah, this Ohio team is one of my favorites to back, especially when they're underdog. They've not covered as an underdog, however you want to say that, and they even have an outright win or two. They've got a very good offense and a meh defense, but Dwight Wilson and Miles Brown are just a very good combo. They've got a really good point guard in Hunter. They do a good job of not turning the ball over. That's mostly due to Hunter running the offense. Marshall just plays at this insane pace. It's fun to watch because they're up and down points everywhere. And they've got a decent defense to back it up, better than you would expect with the pace they play. And they've only got they've got these two good players in Kinsley and Taylor, but besides that, there's not a lot of scoring behind them, and I think that's where Ohio's going to kind of get them. Is Ohio's got a few more options and enough to keep this close. I mean, and Marshall doesn't really shoot the ball well, and they struggle at the free throw line. They've got only 2 guys on the team over 70, and then 4 guys at 55 or below. And one of the guys is shooting 20. I think that opens up all sorts of windows for a backdoor cover here where Ohio fights to get back in the game when they've kind of been out of it. And I think that's really – there's just more options for Ohio to win with this 8.5 than there is for Marshall covering 8.5.
Yeah, and it's a great point. I always like to talk about the same sort of thing, right? There's lots of ways we can win this game. We talked about that first game with Notre Dame, right? Multiple ways we can win that. Notre Dame just runs away, or Notre Dame is up only a little bit late and can win with late game fouls. If the game gets to overtime, they can cover it. There are lots of ways to win. It's the same sort of thing here with Marshall not being a good free throw shooting team gives us extra chances to win this. Either Ohio just hangs in there, or even if it's 10 or 11 or something like that, easy. The back door will be open, at least, is what we'll say. It doesn't mean they can get it, but it would be open. So a lot of ways we can win. That always makes for a better play. To a bonus B side here, 3 p.m. Central, Boston College at Duke. Duke is laying 17. Somebody says it should be a little bit more than 17. I mean, Duke at home, much better team. They should win. The only question is, can they win by enough? Jake, why do you think they can cover this giant number?
First off, Boston College is not very good. This team lost to such powerhouse basketball teams as Maine and Tarleton.
Hey, don't you insult Maine.
I mean, it's a great state, beautiful place to vacation, just not known for their basketball.
It's only one of like 6 states that I haven't been to yet, but I'm looking forward to going to Acadia. I've heard good things. I just haven't made it up there yet.
Yep, it's one of my favorites. And then they also lost to Nebraska, but that's not as bad. But when you look at the score of the Nebraska game, that's
I'm about to say they got crushed by Nebraska.
They got crushed by Tarleton State. Like, this is not a great team by any stretch. They struggle to score. Only broke 73 times. They want to play a slow and deliberate game, which is also what happens that Duke wants to do. And Duke has got 10 times the talent. They're really tall, and Boston College is not going to know what to do with all that size. They've got some really good guard play. If Lively keeps playing like he played this last game, where he keeps improving each game, he's going to be that number 1 recruit. He's going to start showing that. Whitehead seems to be waking up a little bit. I mean, Flapowski's done amazing. Roach is playing really good. Young has been a great transfer from Northwestern. I don't see a way Boston College is going to stay in this game. I think, especially at home, I think Duke's going to just keep rolling in. You're going to look up and Duke's up 25-30 with a few minutes left in the game, and Boston College is calling it quits.
Yeah, when we talk about laying such a big number, the model doesn't like to do it a lot. When it does, I always like it when it's one of 2 situations. Either A, it's against a team like an IUPUI who is just so bad that the other team's second string can still increase the lead, or a situation like this where the team you're backing, their second string can as well. And when you look at how bad Boston College has looked against a team like Nebraska, you have to say the backups on Duke are probably relatively comparable to what Nebraska has. I mean, maybe those guys in Nebraska may be a little bit better, but not by a ton, right? The depth that a team like that has. They put the second string in, with 15 minutes to go in the game, and those second stringers still have the opportunity to increase the lead, right? Which makes you feel a little bit better, as opposed to if it was against a team that only has 5 players, and then it's like, well, if the backups are in, they're gonna come back, right? Yeah. Duke should still be able to continue to increase their lead the whole game, which will help us cover the 17 there. And I'm gonna give you a bonus B-side. Something that you might miss: Alabama minus 18.5. They are playing South Dakota State, who's playing tonight, and we don't know how that game's gone on. We had Kent State as an A-grade play here on Friday, but they're playing in Kent State, traveling to – I don't know where Kent State is as a state. It's not one of the 50 that I learned, but it's not right next door to – I know where it's located. It's a joke. Bad joke, but bad joke kind of thing. Yeah. They got to travel. They got to travel to Tuscaloosa overnight and play a rested Alabama team who's just going to run them out of the gym, I'm afraid. So B grade pick according to the model, Alabama minus 18.5. It's a great spot to back them and lay a big number just like we did with Duke in a situation where I'm not sure they can hang.
Yeah, and going to Alabama on tired legs is not a team you want to do that with the way Nate Oates likes to play. So I think he's really going to press his advantage there and
Exactly. Yeah, you'd rather do that if you had to against a team like talk about Charlotte, right, going at that really slow pace, right? You don't want to do that against a team like Alabama. That's not really ideal. So I'll give you a bonus B-side, lay the 18.5 with Alabama, which takes us to the Jake on a Limb segment, a game that the model has not made a pick on yet. If it did, it would be a C grade pick. This one's Indiana at Rutgers. A game that, assuming you can find a slot for it, aside from all the college football conference championship games that you'll be watching potentially, should be a good one to watch. Indiana is a 3-point road favorite. Sideline says it should be 3.6. So right now it's kind of waiting until the morning, seeing what the line movement does. But Jake, you think you've got an edge on this, and you think that there's a play to be made right now. Tell us what that play is and why you're making it.
Like this is going to look bad after I left him out of the top tier Big Ten discussion on yesterday on today's video. But I'm going to take the points with Rutgers. I think it has nothing to do with how good I think Indiana is, because I think they're a really good team. I just think this spot and playing at Rutgers is tough. Like, they're coming off the high of beating North Carolina, and even though it's not the best North Carolina team in the world, it's still North Carolina. So that name just carries a little bit of weight. And Rutgers is a very good defensive team. They're playing good. This game was a 3-point game in Bloomington last year that Rutgers won on the buzzer. So it should be a very good game. And then, like we've talked a few times in the year, Rutgers at the rack is different than anywhere else. They haven't lost there yet this year. I can't say his name, Omori, the big guy for Rutgers. He can absolutely hang with Trace Jackson Davis and score with him, make him work for it. McConnell's getting healthier and playing better. I just think the spot kind of screams Rutgers. I think IU's going to be overlooking them maybe a little bit, living off that high just a tad bit, because this Rutgers team isn't that great this year. It's just, if I didn't look at the schedule, say they played twice. If they played twice, the second time would be all over IU. But this just a spot that screams tight game, and I want the 3 points.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, about Rutgers and that home court advantage, that's one of the more extreme ones in the country for college basketball, how well they play there compared to how poor they play away from home. So you're thinking it's a good spot to grab the 3 with Rutgers. And we left Indiana out. I made a comment in the chat that I knew as we were saying those teams that there was one team that had also looked really good that we left out. But that was kind of the whole point, was there's so many good teams in the Big Ten that, like, you can't help but leave one out, and or give it 2 more weeks, and someone's going to have some great wins and jump to the top and some bad losses. They're all so good. They're all going to beat each other up, right? So it's kind of the point of it. But yeah, we think Indiana is really good. It's just a tough spot here. So Jake, you're going to grab the 3 with Rutgers. I'm going to give you a little professor on a limb here for you real quick. Omaha plus 18 is only a C grade according to the model at North Texas. North Texas, I'm not sure they're going to score 18 points. They're not going to allow any either. I mean, this game might finish like 17s. It might look like a football. It's not going to, obviously. But North Texas plays really slow. I think they're the third. No, they were the slowest team, I think. Slowest team in the country. That's going to make it hard to cover a big number like that. Omaha's not very good, but I think they can cover a number like 18. So I think Omaha plus 18 ought to be on your radar as well.
Totally agree.
That's not a must-see game. The one you talked about, Indiana Rutgers, is a must-see game. Another must-see game that we're going to highlight here, 8:30 p.m. Central. So a night game. College football, right? Got a bunch of those good afternoon games, and then at the night games, you might have a blowout with Michigan, Purdue. You might have a blowout with Clemson, North Carolina, or you may just not care, given how poorly those teams have looked, right? So might be able to find your way onto a TV set here. St. Mary's at Houston. Total is 118 on this one. I have to say, Sideline says 118.9, might be the lowest projected model total of the season. I'm not officially playing this, but I would not play the over, folks. That's all I'm going to say is I would not play the over, even though it's so low with these two teams. Houston's laying 10.5. The model has already locked in a B grade play on Houston, says it should be a little bit more than 11. The St. Mary's team is pretty good, but I mean, I think we're all, eyeing this one as if Houston can really put their stamp on this one and really cement themselves as at the moment, a number 1 seed. That's the direction we're heading, that sort of thing. Got a couple other tests this month, but this is another chance for them to really put their mark on college basketball and say, we are deserving of a 1 seed. Jake, why do you think Houston can win by 11 or more?
Look, it's going to be rare that you see a spread this big being must-see TV. It's just these two teams, if the styles happen, it's going to be fun to watch, even though it's going to be a low-scoring battle. But I think this is one of the ones that it's very tight all throughout the game. Then all of a sudden, the last 5 minutes or so, Houston just kind of pulls away, just because St. Mary's just doesn't have the offense to hang with Houston. Houston's got the better offense to go with these two great defenses. Plus, St. Mary's has lost their last 2 in a row. I'm not sure that I think they're struggling to find the offense on a guy on offense to say, okay, we need a bucket at the end of the shot clock here, or to break this slump. You'll get us one. They just don't have that guy, and it's not like they're loaded with shooters either, where they can shoot, move the ball around and find an open shot and then shoot you out of your defense. It's just not going to happen for them. I think the way Houston rebounds the ball, and of course the way they play defense, and how they can just really put streaks together and just put 10, 15 on you in a hurry. Which is kind of counterintuitive to how low this total is, but they can just absolutely go on one of those runs at any point on anybody, and it's really hard to come back because they just don't make mistakes often. St. Mary's depth is going to come back to eat them here. It's bold for St. Mary's to have this game on the schedule, but I just don't think they have enough. Houston's going to get this win, cover it probably about 12 to 15, and it's going to be a tight game all throughout, and then they just pull away late.
Yeah, I'm gonna say another angle in this game would be St. Mary's team total under. I just don't see how they score. The pace of this game is going to be at a snail's pace with the way these two teams play. Houston, maybe the best defense in the country. St. Mary's might easily have a top 10 defense. Yeah. But the difference is, like you said, St. Mary's offense is solid for them for a mid-major, absolutely, but against a team that's, very reasonably a top 5 team in Houston, like I said, eyeing a number 1 seed, it's going to be tough for them to get it done. I'm going to predict the score. I'm going to predict something like 60-40. I think St. Mary's team total is going to be in the low 50s. I'm not sure they get to 50. I think it's going to be something in the 40s because they're just not going to have that many possessions, and their offense, I think, is just going to get suffocated by Houston. We've seen Houston sometimes give up some points when they've kind of played either teams with better offenses, teams that played faster, or teams that they've just run away from, right? But I think they're going to be focused on this game and play a hard defense for a full 40 minutes. St. Mary's going to have a bunch of threes go in, I think, to get outside of the 40s in this one. So, we're laying it with Houston. Like I said, I think St. Mary's team total under might make some sense too, because I just don't see how they score a bunch of points in this one.
No. I mean, they'd have to have the shooting day of their lives for this because, I mean, we've seen Houston win games in the 40s, and we've seen them put up 100 and beat somebody by 50.
Right. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And not a game they're going to put up 100 in, right? Because St. Mary's doesn't want to go at that faster pace. But, Houston at least has the talent and the offense to – I'm not saying that they're going to run it up on St. Mary's type thing, but St. Mary's defense is really good, but Houston's offense is good enough to score a few points. Whereas St. Mary's offense is, as with most offenses in the country, are going to struggle with Houston. If Houston decides to play an intense 40 minutes and you're limiting number of possessions, most teams are going to have a hard time scoring points on Houston.
Yep.
I'll give you another quick must-see TV game. Oklahoma +3 at Villanova. I love Oklahoma getting the 3. They're kind of like them on the money line as well. I think they got a good shot to go in and get the road victory. Villanova is just in trouble. This is a complete coin toss game, in my opinion. So I think whether you're grabbing the 3, which is the official A-grade model pick, or the money line, I think Oklahoma makes some sense as well.
Yeah, I know Villanova's been beat up with injuries, and Neptune looks like he's struggling to find his feet right now with what he needs to do with his team. So Oklahoma's a great play here.
Yeah. All right. And that'll take us to the overtime segment. I'm going to take us home and give you the breakdown of this one. 1 p.m. Central, Coastal Carolina at Winthrop. Winthrop is laying 2.5, and that's the side that we're going to be on here, an A-grade pick from the model, which says it should be about 5. I don't understand why this number is so low. I think it's that situation I talked about yesterday with Boston, and who knows how that's going to play out, especially with Merrimack getting their key guy back and that whole thing. But if nothing else, just like I predicted in yesterday's show, I laid the 3 with Boston. I said it's going to go up towards, at least 5 or 6. And at the time of this recording, it's still Boston -5. And I think the same sort of thing's going to happen here. I think there's a lot of games happening, and we're going to hang a number that's pretty close to Ken Palm's number, which is 2.8. That's why they've hung it here. But I think it should be 4.5, 5. I think Winthrop's the better team at home. The model has loved Coastal Carolina. It hasn't really worked well. So I love now going against them here. Again, I love laying a short number with the home team like this when I think they're the better team. So laying 2.5 points makes too much sense to pass up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way Coastal really solves the Talford. He is really good player from Winthrop, fun to watch, big guy, leads the team in scoring and rebounds, and then they've got a really good guard in McMahon too, right behind him. So they've got a really good 1-2 punch that really should carry them through this game, especially with a short number.
Yep, absolutely. All righty. That's a lot of games that we've crammed at you here, crammed into this space here for you. Reminder is with all the Saturday games, join us on Discord. Again, that sign up link is through Patreon. Ask us about other games. We'll let you know what we're thinking. On occasion on Friday what I was able to do, there were fewer games as I updated everyone. I said, hey, these were where the model had B plays last night. Now that have A plays. I can't do that on Saturday because there's too many games. But if you hop in that Discord and say, hey, what do you think about this game? I can give you an update on a game or two. So come hit us up on Discord for all the other games that we weren't able to talk about or the line movements. It's a great spot, great little community that we're building up. Jake, other than that, any parting words from you?
No, the Discord and the Patreon benefits are worth their weight in gold with the way the lines have been moving and everything. So I would highly advise joining in.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, thanks for tuning into this episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can enjoy all the sports betting content we've run on this channel. It's dropped right into your feed. We will be back again on Monday with more sports betting content. No Sunday shows for us. But until then, as always, best of luck this weekend with college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, NFL, all the sports things happening. World Cup. Yeah. World Cup, absolutely. Yes, good luck with all of that. And until we see you again, remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.